Okay, what are you saying, people? Welcome back to my channel, and today we have the weekly Forex analysis. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a like, do all the good stuff, because I'll be dropping a lot of Forex related content in the future, and this weekly Forex analysis, I'll be doing it every week, and you don't want to miss out on that. But today we have the weekly Forex analysis, so let me stop chatting and let's get into it. Okay, so first up, Euro USD. Okay, so for Euro USD, this market is clearly still very bullish. It's still in the uptrend. We had the daily trend line drawn down here, and we were wanting it to pull back to hit this trend line to keep on going in that upwards trend. As you can see, it did not pull back much, and it kept going in that upwards trend. So it's broken through the weekly trend line, and it looks like it's going to hit that monthly trend line. If I go to the monthly chart, you can see that we have this trend line, so it's looking like it's going for its fourth touch. We've had the wedge pattern on the weekly, and it looks like it's come from the lower and it's going to hit that upper. So we could potentially be seeing some reversal at that same monthly trend line, either at the trend line or at this level up here. So I'll be waiting to see what happens when price moves up to this region. I won't be looking for sell opportunities right now, and obviously no buying opportunity. This one is already long gone, so I'll be waiting to see how it reacts with the trend line and with this level up here, and then possibly looking for short opportunities around there. So for the daily time frame, of course, just let it keep riding out. There's no place of value, that the market's not really in any place of value yet for any selling or buying opportunities. You can look for buying opportunities if it comes back down to retest the trend line or the level here, then look to buy it back up. But currently right now there's not much going on with Euro USD apart from that strong bullish trend. Up next is USD JPY. Okay, so now onto USD JPY. You can see that we finally had a break of the ascending channel. See, we have these two trend lines here creating that channel, and then I was saying that we had the push up from here and it almost reached the trend line, came back to retest, and because you can see that the next push from that same trend line has less momentum, that the chances are this trend line is probably going to break, and you can see that it slowly was moving sideways, then it finally broke below that trend line. So this break could mean either a false breakout and carry on moving back to the upside, although there is a lot of resistance nearby. As you can see, the low here, the high there, the high there, there's a lot of resistance nearby. And this could also mean that this ascending channel was broken, and now we're going to get the move to the downside, because if I go on the weekly chart, you can see we have the trend line going to the downside. So the overall market on the higher time frames is still bearish. So we could be getting moves to this low down here or to this low down here. So you could be looking for selling opportunities to carry on the move to the downside. You can see how the breakout, if I zoom in, we had a breakout of price moving sideways here, and could be looking to reach these lows down here. So you can be looking for opportunities of retesting some resistance to keep going down on the lower time frames. And on the weekly chart, I zoom out, you see that we're in that downtrend, and we're going to keep going in that downtrend, it looks like. And then once we hit these levels here or here, then we can be looking for reversals to take it back up to hit that same weekly trend line. But overall, back on the daily chart, we're expecting this bearish momentum to continue to the downside. Okay, so let's move into USD CAD now. Okay, so for USD CAD, it looks like we finally had the breakout out of that ranging consolidation period that was going for a few days between this level here and this level here. We thought we had the breakout there, but it was turned into a false breakout and eventually broke out to the downside. So it looks like prices come back to retest these lows down here. So you could be seeing potentially a double bottom and a reversal back up to the upside from this level of the market. And you can see that it's also tested that weekly trend line here with 1, 2, 3, potentially a false breakout there, and a fourth time recently, and it looks like it's come to test it again. So it looks like on the weekly chart it looks quite bearish, but we could be seeing reversal because it is at a place of value. It's at this weekly level here. Zoom in, it's at this weekly level here, and we can see it's at resistance there, and it's at the weekly trend line as well. So it's at a place where potential reversal back to the upside could be taking place. So on the daily chart, all we're waiting for is to get that confirmation that price is going back up. So we need that bullish momentum and then we could be looking for buying opportunities to carry on that back to the upside from this level over here in the market. Now let's analyze Euro GBP. Okay, so for Euro GBP, we had the breakout of the daily trend line a couple of weeks ago now, and we were expecting price to come back and retest the level, retest the trend line to continue in that new downtrend. So you can see that price has come back up and it's come back to retest the trend line numerous times, and this weekly level here, zoom to the weekly, you can see that we have those 2 wicks there where the false breakout. So price is at that level now, and so if price does break through this and continuing that that move to the upside, and then we could be expecting the overall uptrend to continue and possibly reach the highs up here. But as long as price doesn't break through this level and the last high of the uptrend, we could be seeing Euro GBP continue to the downside. As you can see that on the weekly chart, we've had the break and they have the strong bullish candle that has come up to retest that same weekly level, and the next candle, which is this week's candle, closed with that small body and those long wicks to either side. So it does show that there's a bit of indecision in the market, and we could be seeing the following week candle become bearish and carry on that move to the downside. So it is at a place of value, it's good place where potential reversals could happen. So I'll be looking for selling opportunities for Euro GBP, preferably if it moves back up to the high of the daily, so we can get that double top pattern and carry on to the downside. But then there is a possibility it could reverse from the position it is at now, so we have to be aware of both the possible setups. Okay, let's see what's happening with NZD CAD. Okay, so for NZD CAD, you can see that we have this uptrend on the daily chart. You can see we have the trend line here with 1, 2, so you're possibly looking for a third of that trend line soon, or probably a break of that to carry on with the overall weekly and monthly trend to the downside. If I go on the weekly, you can see that we're making those lower highs, making those lower highs in the market, and we potentially have that next lower high to carry on that downtrend in the weekly time frame to hit these lows down here, or possibly all the way down there. So we are at an area of value on the weekly time frame. You can see this level here is acted as support here, so potentially could act as resistance now. As you know, when support is broken, it acts as resistance and vice versa. And we also hit the weekly trend line as well, with one touch here, the second touch there, and the third touch here, possibly to continue back to the downside. If I zoom in, you can see that this week's candle gave us a wick above that trend line. It touched it three weeks ago, and it tried to break it this week. It gave us that wick above it, got rejected, come back and close below that same trend line. So you could be seeing a move down from that area in the market in the next couple of weeks. So if that downtrend does continue, we could be looking at a break of the daily trend line here to the downside and carry on with that overall weekly trend. And we can see that we have this evening star pattern on the daily chart, so we could be looking for selling opportunities at this level now to carry on that to the downside, or you could be looking for it to retest the same level up here. As you can see, it's been rejected twice from it, came up, tested it once, tested it again, gave us that wick. So we could be looking for price to retest it again, then looking for selling opportunities then on the lower time frames. But on the daily chart, this pair does look like it's ready to sell and potentially continue in that weekly trend to the downside. Okay, next up we're going to analyze AUD USD. Okay, so for AUD USD, we're in an uptrend on the daily chart. We have this daily trend line here. We did have a break of the trend line last week, but as you can see, there was not much momentum. It wasn't really a significant break, and price broke back in. So price isn't really respecting this short-term daily trend line. But if we go to the weekly, actually go to the monthly, you can see that we have this channel on the monthly now, this descending channel. We have one touch here, we have a second touch here, we have the third here, and fourth back down here. It looks like we have the fifth touch of that same channel now. So we could be expecting AUD USD to obey the trend line in this channel and make that move back to the downside to carry on that with that monthly trend to the downside. On the weekly chart, you can see that this week gave us a small wick. The candle still closed bullish. I'll move this trend line, see a little bit better. You can see that this week's candle did close bullish, but you can see that we do have a wick to the upside, which does show that there is some bearish pressure coming to the market. Price did try to close above that trend line, that monthly trend line, and it failed to do so. It hit that level and got rejected back down. So we could be seeing some bearish pressure coming into on the lower time frames, like the 4-hour and the daily. On the daily, we can see that we do have some price action here with this engulfing candle. So we could be seeing a reverse from there, or maybe a double top on the 4-hour or the 1 hour time frame, and then that larger trend to continue for that monthly chart there. So for the daily chart, we do have the price action there. So we could be seeing the decline for AUD/USD happening in the following week. So this area in the market is a good place to be looking for selling opportunities now. Okay, so now we're going to move on to GBP NZD. Now, so for GBP NZD, you can see that we've had this downtrend in the market for some time now, and it looks like we've hit a significant point in the market where a possible reversal to the upside could be commencing. If I jump to the weekly chart, you can see that we've had this ascending channel to the upside. We've had 1, 2, 3 touches on the upper trend line, and then 1, 2, 3, and possibly a fourth now, and possibly a reversal back to follow that ascending channel back to the upside. And if I zoom in, you can also see that we've hit the 200 moving average, which again is a significant point on the weekly time frame. So we could be seeing a reversal from this area in the market. If I jump to the daily, you can see that we've almost got this double bottom going on here. Prices hit this level once, hit it again, gave us 2 wicks there on Wednesday and Thursday, and now looks like we could have a possible new trend to the upside from next week. So that's what we're expecting next week for GBP/NZD to start that new uptrend possibly. And on the daily time frame, you see those wick rejection. Those are a great place to enter the market on the daily time frame to trade this back up to the upside. But if this setup does fail, then we could be expecting a break of the trend line and then a longer decrease all the way back to the downside to hit these levels down here. But for now, we are expecting GBP/NZD to reverse this downtrend, sorry, and start that new uptrend to the upside. Okay, so now we're going to move on to CAD JPY. Okay, so for CAD JPY, we've been ranging for a few weeks now between these levels here, and we thought we had a breakout here to go to the upside, but this is a false breakout and the price has actually closed back inside those levels. So price is still ranging at this moment in time. It could break out to the downside, and if that happens, we could be seeing price go test the monthly trend line or come back to these lows down here. Now if I go to the monthly, you can see the trend line I'm talking about. You see you have many touches there, touch of the trend line there, and recently a touch of the trend line there a few months ago. So if price does close to the downside, we could be seeing price breakout to go retest the trend line or these lows here before making that move to that weekly downtrend trend line. And if I go to the weekly, you can see that we'll be making lower highs in the market, so we'll be looking for that next lower high or possibly a break of that trend line to go and test that monthly trend line there. So for the daily chart, all we're waiting for is a breakout of this. There's not really much buying or selling opportunities at the moment in time. We need price to come out of this ranging pattern completely, and then we can either look for buys or sells in the market. Next up, GBP USD. Okay, so for GBP USD on the daily chart, I drew this ascending channel last week. You can see you had 1, 2 touches on the upside of it and 2 touches on the downside of it, and we're expecting price to move in the upwards trend and go make a third touch of that same ascending channel. We also have on the weekly chart, if I zoom out, we also have this downtrend with multiple touches, 3, 4, 5, so we could be looking for another one for a possible break of it or move back to the downside and break that ascending channel and look for these lows down here. So for the meantime, we're expecting GBP USD to continue rising and go and make that third touch. We did have this daily resistance here that we had those wicks about, and if we did see a move to the downside, we could be expecting a break of the trend line and a move back to the downside, but we did see a break of that. So this pattern looks like it's going to commence, and we could be looking for a third touch of that ascending channel before maybe a move back to the downside. and looking for selling opportunities there. But I wouldn't be looking to buy this pair because we are heading into some resistance here, and remember, you don't want to be buying into resistance. And last but not least, GBP CAD. Okay, so for GBP CAD, we can see that price has this daily trend line here showing that we have an uptrend in the market. We had a false breakout here, it turns out to be, and if price does respect the trend line, we could be seeing a further move to the upside on the daily time frame. Price is in some resistance at the moment. You can see if I draw the resistance here, price came out to retest that resistance. It came back down, hit the trend line again, and it's back up at that resistance. So we're expecting a break of that resistance for the market to keep going in that upwards trend in the daily time frame. And if it does that, we could be expecting price to come and retest the weekly trend line. Now we go to the weekly. You can see this trend line has been holding up for some time now, and we've had numerous touches on that trend line from the market. So it does look like the market could respect it and start a new downtrend if price does reach that trend line on the weekly time frame. And if you have a break of it, we could be seeing a longer rise to hit the monthly trend lines up there. So in the meantime, for the daily chart, we're expecting GBP to rise now and respect that trend line, and you can be looking for a break of that level, then for price to find some support and carry on to the upwards trend, or we can be patient and wait for selling opportunities at this level up here or at the weekly trend line to keep that overall downtrend on the weekly chart. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you leave the like if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell. Drop a comment if you found this helpful or if you have any questions. But to the next one, I'll see you later.